Believe that every individual has got a potential, infinite potential. And that's my tagline always. We have infinite potential. Get it enabled. We are always working at the 2% or 3% of our capacity. When the possibilities open up, it's not about unidirectional, it's multi-directional. And life is about enjoying that multitude spirit within us.
You made this transition from a corporate leader to a professional coach and a storyteller now. I saw your LinkedIn profile is story enabler. I thought that was a very interesting title to have. You enable stories, right? Or you enable storytelling. How has been the journey for you for the last 1 year? You just completed 1 year as an entrepreneur.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Just one word, fascinating.
Brilliant,
I have been learning things that I've never learned about, especially finance, honestly. That's been a fascinating journey. But having said that, I believe in this fact, and I'm sure I would have shared this with you earlier, much earlier, is that I believe that every individual has got a potential, infinite potential. And that's my tagline always. We have infinite potential. Get it enabled. We are always working at the 2% or 3% of our capacity. When the possibilities open up, it's not about unidirectional, it's multi-directional. And life is about enjoying that multitude spirit within us. So, and they are all stories. For me, they are all stories because we are made up of stories. When we are born with a story. How did we get a birth is a story. How did we live? We build, we listen to values, cultures, we imbibe so much, conditioning, not conditioning. They all are stories. And to me, they are like about, can I enable it beyond and more than that what I have today? When I make it big, that's where I figure out, okay, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I living? And as a human being, it's not about the 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 today, if I may talk about. It's much more beyond that. And pandemic is a real-time example of saying life is much more. People have gone out to help others like nobody's business. I have no idea. I just got a call and I stepped out and did things. There are many ways in which people are helping. And it just says, or I might not help, I may do something which might indirectly impact somebody else. Or just trying to find where my spirit lies. So it's about getting these stories. And the more we enable, for me, the coaching journey that I had, that I'm having, is just about finding those beautiful sparks within me. More than anybody else, I could say when I do a coaching also, there's a lot of churning that goes inside. How do I calm it and enable my coaching is one aspect of it. When that is settled, when I step out of that zone, I need to settle this churning inside to say, okay, there is something that I need to address, or there's something that I need to enable further, so that I can be more resourceful. I can be more resourceful from within. And that is my story enablement piece. That is what it is. And the last 1 year, it's been fascinating. I've met all sorts of people. And I'm sure I'm going to meet a whole different new bunch of people, making new relationships, understanding relationships in a completely different paradigm. And then having a laugh. I can tell you something that had happened as I stepped out. I'm a traveler. I love to travel, but I have always traveled along with my family. And my companions are 4: I, my wife, my son, and my car. These have been my companion most of the time. And solo driving is something that within the city, but not beyond that. So I happened to drive out one of those times all alone towards Coimbatore. I was going in, and I carry typically my breakfast and my lunch whenever I travel for little longer distances, or at least one meal it's with me, so that I don't have to bother about it. So I had stopped early morning. I had traveled close to around 150, 200 odd kilometers from Chennai. I paused on a roadside. I love those roadside stops that I did. This was a little deserted patch between two villages or something. I had stopped on the highway on the side, got down, had my breakfast, all that. I'm a little more careful, so I keep locking my car. So I had clicked on the central locking and opened one of the doors and I was eating. I left my car keys inside and slammed the door. Just before the door could hit, I realized I left my car keys inside and the vehicle got slammed in. All closed. I couldn't get in. I can see my watch. I have two phones. One phone was inside. I can see that. And I panicked. Literally, I had tears. And just imagine a 43-year-old guy, almost like on tears on the road, didn't know. And I was like panicking. It took me, and I was trying to wave down cars to see. And I was like, please help me out somewhere. It took me close to 5 to 6 minutes. So I was jumping up and down, running around the car, trying to figure out if I can open somehow. I couldn't think of it. And I was waving down the second or third vehicle. Something struck to me as to why am I panicking? What's the use? What's the purpose? And that is more from the question of the coaching questions that I've gone through. And the thought process was, why am I doing this? The moment that question struck me, I pulled my hand in. And I looked at the car, looked at the road. I was fortunate to have one phone with me. Nothing else. My wallet, everything is inside. My mind started working on possible solutions.
Yeah.
I picked up the phone, called up my Mahindra roadside assistant. 4 hours, Subhash, I was there outside. The sun was on the peak at that point of time. I got under the shade. I just observed what was happening around. For 4 hours, I sat there till the guy came in. And then I was at peace with myself to travel. And I don't think it would have happened if I had been in the corporate space. I just paused myself. The reflections really enabled me to start thinking as to what was going on. And that's the kind of change and transformation that I see in myself. So in situations of panic, of course, the anxiety level kicks in quickly. And then I slow down to start looking at it. So that's the transformation.
Thanks for sharing a real life story, Siddharth. So now our common friend, Dr. Ram would say, every coachee is a default coach, right? We learn so much. Every situation is also an opportunity to learn and observe.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for sharing. So any closing remarks, Siddharth, for our listeners and viewers before we wrap up?
I think we as humans have our huge potential and humbly potential. It's just that we need to explore that beautiful side within us, and the possibilities are enormous. Find that ways to leak out those possibilities within us, to see how we can transform ourselves first before we look out for others. Just like the oxygen mask in the airplanes. Help yourself before you help others. And just enable it. The moment you enable yourself, the world would get enabled.